Yes, I think it is quite significant because it allows a little bit of wavering there for the US. When I think you look at it, the US is trying to put out that very hard front foot, but by giving the waivers, it gives the market a little bit of a sense of, well, how hard are the US in terms of trying to put those sanctions in place? Interesting to see where the oil price is at the moment because the market's saying it's more of a soft approach to the sanctions having all these waivers. So I'd expect to hear a little bit out of the US as to turn how far and how long those waivers be so we can get some direction in the price of crude.
It's interesting, though, Jonathan, because at least the rhetoric has been extremely strong. We talked about Secretary Mnuchin's comments there. We've also heard from Secretary Pompeo saying they do want to continue this maximum pressure campaign. So do you think we've yet to see the potential upside to the oil market?
I think so. I generally think that there's a lot of persuasion out there, a lot of force, but the market hasn't reacted to it. You know, the market's believing there's enough spare capacity, even given that we've got outages as opposed in Libya and so forth. So there's no real supply issues to oil. So I think the rhetoric that we're actually seeing at the moment is meant to be a hard line, but the market is not taking it as a hard line because the prices have been under so much pressure. I get a sense that the market's weighing up the prospect for lower economic demand over the actual sanctions. So it's one of those points, I think, which we need a little bit more time to understand.
But Jonathan, isn't there the very real fear here that these sanctions could push the Iranian government to become more involved in the region in terms of creating more problems in places like Yemen, like Syria, like Lebanon, all across the region? This is a regime that's been known to take action and to create more and more problems. And in terms of the regional insecurity, isn't this something that could then weigh on oil markets?
Well, I think when you look at it, but every time we get Iran involvement, the Straits of Hormuz, for example, there seems to be some form of back down. And I think the consequences of getting more and more involved, I think, are more dire for them and for the economy. I get a sense that if they do step across that mark, then the US and allies will be even more so stringent, I guess, on the sanctions. So I guess it's a softly approach. But once again, you don't want either to back down unless they really need to. And you also look at Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is all about getting to the table to resolve issues which have been outstanding. Let's see what happens, but I hope that Iran doesn't sort of step up in terms of the region, in terms of those types of conflicts, because I think they'll be sorely met with force.
Definitely, it's significantly increasing the probability that we'd have there a military confrontation of some variety. But talk to me a little bit about the trading partners here, because obviously the Europeans, Federica Mogherini, again and again has said she's going to try against all the odds to find a way to keep Iran as a trading partner for European countries. But that just doesn't seem as if it's going to really be possible, is it?
Well, Leah, I tend to agree. I tend to agree with that. I mean, when you look at the sanctions, you look how hard the sanctions are. The Trump administration, is looking for zero exports. Now, I think that is a very hardline approach that we're seeing from the administration, but they're not going to back down from it. And I think you'll see push comes to shove. So I think when I look at the trading partners, I think everyone's looking for alternatives, in terms of supply. I get a sense that this is not going to go away that quickly. And I think the market's underestimated where we are actually at, given where the price is. But I think everyone is trying to find alternatives. When you look at the waivers that we've got from India, obviously imports all of its oil. They've got to look, and they're looking. But I also get a sense that how hard have people actually tried to find alternatives? And I think that that'll start to filter through. Remember, when you look at Iran's production and where it is, there's a long way to go in terms of getting to zero. I think we're currently around about 1.7 million barrels a day. So I think the market's still got to take a little bit more seriously as to where that alternative source will actually come from.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.